Hey everyone, this is Kim Beegler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I am here at the mill today with some Finn sheep's wool, specific breed of sheep. If you are new, I talk a lot about owning a wool mill, hand spinning, knitting, sewing a little bit these days, even making my first loaf of sourdough. And if you're coming back, thanks for coming back. Like I said, I'm here at the Carter. This is some Finn that probably 2 months ago I did an unboxing of. I ordered it in the mail, which is always a little bit questionable. Not really because of the wool you're gonna get, but you know, it's always, I really like to see the wool because I know how my machine is going to process. So it's always kind of a crapshoot to do online stuff, but the reviews were good for this shepherd, so I went for it. My take on it is the wool is beautiful. There was a lot of really minute vegetable matter in it and potentially a tiny bit of scurf in it. I'm gonna finish this up. Actually, I'm gonna turn the machine on and we'll go down to the other end in a minute. So I am just feeding onto the Carter specific amounts per feed so that the roving is nice and even. That way all of you hand spinners out there that buy my fiber get a nice lovely spin. So let me finish up this feed and we'll go take a peek on the other side because it's probably popping. Yes, actually we'll go now and then I'll run back over here. Let me pick what I just found in there. So let's go pop over to the other end and see how it is going. I'll go back and you can see what it looks like inside, but here is it coming out. Okay, so this wool, I talked about scurf. Scurf tends to be, it's like a dander that is attached to the fiber, and it tends to happen from, we're gonna walk around and see the other side now. It tends to happen when the sheep get lice. And the lice kind of chew at their skin and the skin creates this dander, and then there you go. You've got this dander that gets stuck to the fiber. This is not, I don't know. If it is, there was so much small bits of VM in this that it's a little bit hard to decipher the difference. I would say there was a minimal amount of scurf. And I actually really debated if I was gonna process this fleece, and then I sat down and I spun the first little batch. And that pretty much cinched it for me that I was going to finish it because regardless of its imperfections, it is absolutely stunning to spin. I'm gonna show you a sample and you can see that there's some VM in there. It drops out pretty well. I didn't have any issues with, you know, you'll have to do a little picking. I'll charge a little bit less for this because of the potential issues, but the spinning, let's go pop inside the machine while we've got a minute. The spinning, I couldn't stop, so, and the color, I'm a sucker for this Morit color. So there it is. Ooh, is it me? Yeah, there it is. Getting a little bit caught up, but not too bad. That's really just because the fibers are a little longer. And I'm gonna show you a little sample of this spun up and you'll see why I thought we're just gonna power through on this. And where's my sample? There it is. It's really beautiful, beautiful yarn that is coming out of it. So I pushed forward. Okay, there we are with the Finn, and we're gonna head over to the washer and wash some mohair before I answer a few questions that you all have asked me over the last couple weeks. All right, everyone, we are here at the washer. I have you kind of close in to the camera because we are opening up some mohair that I bought online. This is like the online episode, and I haven't opened this before. I bought it a while ago, and we're gonna see what this looks like. Hopefully it will go into the washer. I bought it several months ago and it looks lovely. And literally haven't even opened the packaging, which is how it goes. I have a fleece at home that I'm hoping on this episode. Whoo, that is Goat-y. Okay, so this is mohair that like I said, I ordered online and it came shipped lovely. So I'm just going to open it up and there's not, I'm pretty sure she said she skirted it pretty highly before shipping it. So I didn't really feel like I needed to do it at home, you know, and goat generally doesn't have, I'm hoping you can see while I'm doing this. Yes, goat generally doesn't have, I'm a little concerned about some dander I'm seeing, but we'll see how it goes. We're just gonna wash it and see how it goes. I have really been experimenting with the online thing just out of, I don't know why. It's like, you know, try people out, see how it goes. If I just order one thing, I don't order from them again until I like process it out just to see how everything's gonna go. And sometimes it's a great success and sometimes it is not. So that's why I only order one thing at a time. So I'm just gonna open this up and get the washer going and we'll see how it goes. But very low VM, which is great. That's what I was hoping for since I didn't open it up at home. No bugs, obviously. They'd be pretty dead by now because of a lack of air, I would say. And it is very goaty. Mitch would walk in and be like, whoa. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open this up. I'm not really treating it any different than I would wool. It's gonna go on the same. It'll get 2 wash cycles and a rinse, or sorry, 1 wash cycle and a rinse in my machine, and we'll just see what it looks like. There's a chance it could just be like a big felted mess in the end, or, you know, you just don't know. But I have high hopes that it looks, and it's lovely fiber. We'll just see how it processes. So I am going to go ahead, finish opening this up, and let me hold a little bit of it up to you so you can see it. It's been a long time since I've watched mohair, so we'll see how it goes. But some spots are a little bit tighter. We'll see. Okay, let's carry on and we'll get back to this. All right, I am at the picker finishing up a little batch of Border Leicester. It was too pretty for me not to show you. Look at how gorgeous that is. Just all different colors of grays and browns in here. And I am just finishing up picking it out. And usually I blend this with some mohair, but I decided today that I was just gonna let this fleece be on its own. So I'm just finishing out running it through the picker, opening it up a little bit before it gets in there. Some of this has really tight ringlets. See how tight some of those ringlets are. So it needs a little bit of help for the picker teeth to be able to open that up, especially in those tight spots. So let me take you over and I'll let you see it popping out the other end. And then we're just waiting for our mohair to finish up in the washer, which I'm feeling a little skeptical about because my washer is being a temperamental at the moment, which it tends to do, but not a great time to do it. So here's all our fiber, nice and picked out. And this is only about 2 pounds of wool, so it's gonna be on the carder soon. Probably next week you'll see it. All right. You all, sometimes it's just the simple things that make you very happy. And this, like I said, I had to show you this too, because look at how gorgeous it is. That is just 100% Border Leicester wool. It is gorgeous. It's definitely going to need a little conditioning, and then it'll go onto the carder next, I think. So I'm excited that I just decided to let this fleece live its own dream without doing any blending, because I think it's going to be such a beautiful smoky gray that it'll make for a lovely spin for sure. Okay, now we'll go check on the washer and see if it behaved and hopefully didn't felt up that fleece. It's always the worst time that the washer decides to misbehave. Look at that. All right, moment of truth. I'm pretty sure the washer was going slower. Sometimes it just is really slow to drain, and usually I have to do a little clean out somewhere. So fleece Okay, will it be one giant block? No, look at that. It has done beautifully, which is what I was hoping for. I'm not gonna play with it too much right now because if there's a time for me to get things felted up, this would be the extra time. So what I'm gonna do is just pick it up. Look, it's opening up lovely. It does look like there is a little bit of scurf, so we'll see what that looks like when it dries up. And since I've talked a little bit about scurf, it doesn't always mean the scurf. Sometimes it can be diet, the hay wasn't good enough that year. There are different reasons for scurf, but the problem with it is that it can be sticky and it will just kind of cause a problem in carding and other things. Now that doesn't all look like it has it, so it may just, sometimes there's just a patch like by the neck or something. So what I would do if I got a fleece that actually was full on scurf, I generally do a nice like email to the person I bought it from just to let them know, because as a shepherd or somebody raising goats, is that a shepherd? I can't remember what that is. Anyway, I'll say shepherd too. It's hard for you to know scurf because a lot of times you don't really see it until it's in a fleece washed up. Like after washing is when you really will see. So anyway, that's it. A couple spots that are a little bit tight, but no big deal. So I'm gonna put that over on the drying rack, let it dry overnight, and we'll see how it does. All right, I was gonna answer a few questions that some of you have asked over the past couple weeks. One of them was, do I ever recard a fiber? Have I ever recarded wool more than once through the carder? And let's take a peek open so you can just take a peek inside there. I do not. The only time I have probably ever recarded fiber is when I was spinning, and maybe if the fiber was too thick, the roving, I would have, and I don't know, I'm trying to think of a time I would have, if it made it through and it is too greasy, like I can still feel the lanolin in it when I was spinning, I might have rewashed it then, but I can't, and then recarded it, but I can't honestly think of a time I have recarded. Even when I was spinning, if somebody brought in a roving to me that had been processed by another mill, I most of the time could still process it without recarding it, because I'll flip around this beautiful draw frame here, which can get out and, you know, it kind of continues the carding process a little bit. So if I really felt like something needed to be recarded, I could run it through here instead. The other thing is that this carder, while still small on the scale of mills, this is considered a mini mill carder. This is significantly larger than what most of us would have at home. So those, like when you're doing bats and things, you do oftentimes have to recard this machine. I just haven't run into an issue where I felt like recarding would make anything better. So, okay, next question, we're gonna look and see how I have things stored. Was somebody asked, do I have to worry about moths in the mill? First off, I'll say there's so many moths in the country that I don't really panic about moths in general anymore, because, you know, not all moths eat wool, right? But I wanted you to see how I don't leave wool out. And anybody who has wool, be it a mill or just your own stash at home, you should be concerned about moths, about wool moths, because they can get in and they will eat stuff. Wool sweaters, even if you're not a knitter, but you have wool in your closet, you should be aware. So this is how I store everything here. And this includes the yarn and everything. These have little, so you can see this has like a foam around it. I've talked about this before, but lots of people are newer. This has a foam to it. So it actually is like, I think it's supposed to be like watertight, but I look at it as moth tight. I have not had anything break those barriers. That's Ziploc. There's a couple different companies that make, I think they're called them like weather tight or whatever. I've got these big bags. I really haven't had moths ever get through plastic bags. I know that they can, obviously, if they get in, they're going to make a happy home inside of a plastic bag. But you can see all the wool is stored. I really don't leave wool out unless it's on the drying rack, and that's pretty limited. I haven't had an issue with moths, especially now that I don't process for other people. When other people would bring wool in, and still when people come by the mill and say, are you interested in this? I don't have them bring wool into the mill. I look at it first, and generally it goes home before I ever deal with it. So everything is stored in those containers, and that is how I deal with the moth situation. We're walking towards the front, but you can see even all the yarn. Because the mill shop is only open once a month, I'm not gonna risk having all this yarn sitting out for moths to get into and have a meal, or many, many meals. And you can see this is twofold. This will lead into the next question. So this is the front of the mill, and a lot of you haven't seen this. This is a big old building, and it was built in the 1870s, and it is very wood structure, like it's a timber box. If anybody ever brought a match near it, I would pass out. So it's one of the last remaining original buildings in Holsey 2. Absolutely beautiful. We are in love with this building for so many reasons. So because it's an old building, it is not airtight. So I do keep a wrap on wool to keep stuff extra safe. I would recommend doing the same thing at home, especially if you live in an older home. Things can happen. Or you bring wool in from somewhere. If you get it at the thrift store, be very careful. Put it in the freezer for a while first. The other question was, the last question, can I control the humidity in the building to make carding easier? The short answer, well, in this building, I really can't, because what you can see is it's giant, like it goes way back. So through, if you keep walking that way, is the mill, and there's a whole upstairs loft space that is the same size as the mill. So this building, you can see, is all wood. There is zero insulation. There is zero insulation underneath these floors. There is zero insulation in the ceiling. And that is because in the ceiling, there is knob and tube, still old knob and tube, that you can't put insulation on top of. It's not safe. The buildings, they just didn't put insulation in back in the day when this was built. So if you get a good gust, their wool will be flying around on the floor, because the wool is really my insulation, as it has gotten stuck into the floors over the years. So the reason I say I couldn't really humidify this space to help, for some of you that have been watching long enough, this space here used to be where I had my spinner, and you can see there's walls up. We did try to climate control that space for this spinner because it was the most temperamental machine as far as humidity, and it was also very loud, but humidity especially. So we had a humidifier in this room when I really felt like I needed it. We had an air conditioner in this little space to help, which then you need a humidifier because the air conditioner is going to dry it out. Back here, because it's so open and expansive, it would be nearly impossible. If one day we will do the exterior of the building, we'll add insulation, and then we could try to climate control this a little bit better, but right now we can't. But there are other mills around, I'm gonna flip back to me, other mills around the world that do control, you know, if you're in a warehouse that is sealed and things like that, you certainly can have more control of the environment. I believe it's in South Africa where I saw a video where they were processing mohair, and it's dry, and so they literally had like sprinkler systems misting water into the air, just like a light mist to add humidity. Back east during the winter, they do, I think a lot of mills, if you're in a smaller space, you can try to humidify it with a humidifier. If you were somewhere like in the east during the summer, you may need to do the opposite, where you're trying to dehumidify. Or maybe in Hawaii, it's so humid that it would be too damp. So depending on the structure you're in, you have a little more control over that. For me, the best thing is conditioning. And let me show you little ionizer bars that help to keep static low. So anyway, okay, you all, I'm going to go home and do some stuff right now. And obviously I'll be back. This isn't the end of the video, but I'm gonna run for now because everything's basically cleaned up. All right, you all, so at the beginning of this episode, I mentioned making sourdough bread. So my brother-in-law gave me some sourdough starter, tale as old as time, right? Tale as old as time. And it was a gift, which I was excited about. And also, like, I've had a packet of starter that I haven't started because of the dauntingness of it, right? And it was a daunting last 2 weeks with it. And I maybe am through the curve of that. But let me show you what I just did. I got text coming in, and it somehow made my phone pause. Are you ready? Ready? First loaf ever. Okay, now you have to see the inside of it. What? And I was really nervous that it was going to be too, like, oh my gosh, look at it. Look at it. It's delicious. Okay, this may be my proudest moment, and I've done a lot of things, but the patience it takes to make sourdough, it's sort of next level. And yes, I do hand spin and knit sweaters from beginning to end. So anyway, sourdoughers, I cannot wait to hear your comments because I know you have a lot, and I'm excited to hear what you use to bake yours in, and any other great details. You've got links to great people, although now that I've made one, I'm like, do we mess around? I don't know. Okay, onward back to wool. All right, you all, we are finally here to do a smidge of spinning, and I am going to spin this long draw. I've got the fan wool. Just, you know, it's our time to sit and talk, right? It's our time to sit and talk. For those of you that do not want to hear anything political, this is the end of the episode for you, I think. I would encourage you to stay, because if you live in the United States, this is not the time to avoid politics. Everything we do, you know, this world we live in, this country we live in right now is political. And if you're sitting and watching a video with me on spinning and yarn making and all of this stuff, then probably it's worthwhile to sit and listen to this. And I don't talk divisively in my soapbox. I am talking because I am concerned about everybody in the country. And here I am spinning some long draw while we do it, right? We'll try to make this kind of peaceful. I think I might be on the wrong side. We're gonna go the other way. So why, again, do I do this? Why do I speak up? Well, because what is happening in our country is not normal right now. As everybody's saying, it is definitely not normal. And it is one person in an administration with lots of people following him trying to take control and run the government as he so pleases, and not to the country as a whole's benefit. It is not normal. And as a farming family, which I have mentioned to you before, we are grass seed farmers, and as a farming family, we are starting to receive letters from brokers who buy the seed saying, basically batten down the hatches. Seed will not be moving much this year. And we're not the only farmers that are being subject to that. And it's not only will the product sell, it's also the cost to of inputs into farming has gone up, as it has in like just about every industry. And if it hasn't, it soon will because of tariffs. There is no economic plan. That's my theme for this soapbox. There does not seem to be a valid, worthwhile economic plan coming out of our administration. And if the economic plan is let's bring manufacturing back to this country, that is not a viable economic plan. And I think Warren Buffett said recently that let's let them do what they do well and let's do what we do well, something along those lines. Like, other countries are doing some things phenomenally and we are doing other things phenomenally. So why are we messing that up in a global situation like this? Basically, the economic plan is that our president and then some people around him that are close to him are going to get more powerful and more wealthy and do what they want. And that's the plan. There is no economic plan that helps us as citizens of this country, much less the impact that it's having on the rest of the world. And that is not meant to be divisive, because if you're in the United States, this is affecting all of us, and he's not looking out for us. How's that? He's not looking out for us. He's looking out to accrue power and to accrue wealth. And that's what it comes down to. The other thing that I think it was on the weekly show this maybe 2 weeks ago or so, Jon Stewart was talking with Rory Stewart, and it brought up the idea to me that something fundamentally wrong right now in our country is that none of our politicians, especially Republicans, are willing to do what's right at risk of losing their job. Basically, nobody's willing to stand up and say, this isn't right. Okay, very few. There's like 3, right, that we know of, and not always, and not to the extent that it needs to be done. And this is not just Republicans, this is Democrats too, but obviously on the Republican Party, since they have control, it is a little more timely. And it really should be bothering us that there is nobody willing to say, I will give up my job. I'm willing to risk it all to stand up and say this is wrong. Instead, they're concerned about losing their job. And that's honestly not what their job is. Their job is to speak for the country and for what's best for the country. So fundamentally, something is very wrong there, right? So what do? We just keep on trucking. We don't give up, because that is part of the plan of this administration, is to make us feel like we have no power, to make us feel defenseless, and we aren't. We still have control and power, and let's do what we can do. So that means getting out there and marching, right? If nothing else, which there is more to it than this, but I think it will make you feel better, but our voices need to be heard. Make those emails, make those calls, and really demand from both Democrat and Republicans that that they're willing to give up their seat if they have to do what is right for our country, and also demand a plan, right? Things are just being broken, basically. Our system is being broken worse than it was. And the Democrats especially need to come together and come up and articulate a plan of how we're going to fix this and move forward. Because just because people are getting pissed off at Trump doesn't mean they're all of a sudden going to become liberal or side with Democrats or feel that Democrats, I mean, a lot of us Democrats don't feel like the Democrats know what they're doing. So that's where your emails can come into play, is really voicing that and saying, come up with a viable plan, and then please start telling us what it is, because we all need to know that the hope is there. So that's where that's my soapbox for this week, right? Don't give up. Don't feel defenseless. Don't feel like you can't do anything, because you can. And don't forget that it may very well be high time to start donating to our public broadcasting networks, to NPR, to all these different public broadcasting systems that are now at risk of losing part of their funding, well, losing all of their government funding. And it's time for us to step up. And that is an amazing place, because what do you do if you want to rule a government without any oversight? You take away access to good information and news. So that's a part of a plan. Okay, that's our soapbox for this week. And look, meanwhile, I continued spinning. I think you guys can tell me if I stopped. I stopped here and there. But I just wanted you to see that this fiber that was not perfect is spinning up like a dream. Like, I can sit here and have a conversation and spin my little long draw hard out, and it still is beautiful. So this will be in the next online shop update, which goes to Patreon first. So if you enjoy what I'm doing here, what I'm sharing, and you are interested in actually getting better access to this fiber, a very small support every month can help with that. So, and otherwise just keep watching here. I will tell you all that over the past week or two, I've really gone back and forth with my energy level as far as, can I keep doing YouTube? Like, it takes a lot of time. It takes, oddly enough, a lot of emotional energy, and especially now. And so every time that you all comment, it just gives me the strength, and knowing that people are listening, because otherwise it's just sort of a void. So please comment. I really do enjoy it, whether it's about fiber, which is what I am here for, or it's about the soapbox. That's wonderful too. If you need to vent, if you need to speak out, you know what? This is a place, and I love that for you. So, okay. Look I finished that little bit, so I think it's time to go. Wish is here with me. It's kind of warm, and she's just been enjoying some warm weather in her bed. So thank you so much for watching. You can find me at my website, youthfulfiberfarm.com. I have a blog, Being Youthful. There's a Patreon Youthful community. Everything is in the show notes, including information about conditioning your wool at home, because I think I'm just leaving that link up there. And I will also put a link to the blog where I got all my sourdough. I did some mishmashing on my sourdough, but I'll put a link to that blog because I thought it helped a lot. And he also has a YouTube video that kind of goes through it. So until next time, everybody stay healthy, be kind to everybody around you. Again, I know it's hard. I know a lot of us are having a lot of feelings, and it doesn't do any good to yell, scream, or be bitter at each other, because we are, for better or worse, in this together. And until next time, sit at your wheel, grab your knitting, your crochet, your weaving, whatever it may be, and make so many pretty things
I'll see you soon. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, all of those things. I appreciate you all.